What is going on, everybody? Listen, I need you to pay attention right now because what I'm about to break down for you is absolutely insane. We're not talking about some routine NFL drama here. This is bigger than football. This is about power, control, and what happens when someone finally has the courage to pull back the curtain on what's really going on inside an organization. And I'm telling you, the Cleveland Browns just had their entire operation exposed in the most unexpected way possible. So here's what happened. Deshaun Watson, the guy they gave $230 million guaranteed, the guy who's supposed to be sitting quietly on injured reserve, recovering from his Achilles injury, just dropped a bomb on his own head coach. And he did it without saying a single word. That's right, Watson just told on Kevin Stefanski using nothing but a tap on his phone screen. One like on TikTok, and suddenly everything we've been suspecting about this organization got confirmed by someone on the inside. Now, before I get into the specifics, let me set the stage here because you need to understand the full picture of what's happening in Cleveland. The Browns just demolished the Miami Dolphins 31-6. On paper, that looks dominant. The defense absolutely shut down Tua and the Dolphins offense. Fans left the stadium thinking maybe their team had figured something out. But I'm here to tell you that scoreboard is lying to you. That victory is covering up the real story. And the real story involves the systematic destruction of quarterback talent that's been happening in Cleveland for years. Everyone watching that game had one question on their minds. Would we finally see Shedeur Sanders take the field? This was supposed to be the moment. Dillon Gabriel, the starting quarterback, had been struggling. The rumors were flying that he was on the shortest leash imaginable. One bad throw, one mistake, and he'd be pulled. Deion Sanders Jr. literally flew to Cleveland for this game. Think about that. Bucky doesn't travel to cold, rainy Cleveland in the middle of the season for no reason. This was supposed to be Shedeur's debut. But Kevin Stefanski had other plans. This guy, this so-called offensive genius who somehow has 2 Coach of the Year awards, orchestrated the most blatant act of coaching sabotage I've ever witnessed. He called a game so conservative, so terrified of letting his quarterback actually throw the football, that it became a complete joke. They ran the ball, then ran it again, and when they absolutely had to pass, they threw checkdowns that gained nothing. Stefanski wasn't coaching to win big. He was coaching specifically to prevent Dillon Gabriel from making any mistake that would justify pulling him. Here are the numbers, and they tell you everything you need to know. Dillon Gabriel completed 13 of 18 passes for 116 yards. Let me repeat that. 116 yards in an entire NFL game in 2025. 0 touchdown passes. The losing quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, threw the ball more times than Gabriel did. That's not a game plan. That's surrender. That's a head coach so afraid of his quarterback making a mistake that he'd rather win ugly with barely over 100 passing yards than risk opening up the offense. And here's the kicker. Gabriel hasn't thrown a single interception yet. Not one turnover. You know why? Because Stefanski has bubble-wrapped him. He's designed an offense so simple, so risk-averse, so completely devoid of anything challenging that it's basically impossible for Gabriel to screw up. He's never in a position where he has to make a real decision. Why would Stefanski do this? Why handicap your own offense? Because he knows what happens the second Gabriel throws that first pick. The stadium erupts, the fans start chanting for Shedeur, the media starts asking why the more talented quarterback is riding the bench. The whole experiment falls apart and Stefanski is forced to play the kid he clearly has no interest in playing. So instead, he's protecting his own ego by essentially removing the quarterback position from the equation entirely. And that brings us to the explosion that happened yesterday. A Browns fan who goes by Chad posted a TikTok video back in October making a point that's been obvious to anyone paying attention. Every single quarterback who plays for Kevin Stefanski looks terrible, and then they leave Cleveland and suddenly they're good again. Baker Mayfield struggled under Stefanski, got run out of town, went to Tampa Bay and played some of the best football of his career. Joe Flacco came off injured reserve and immediately looked better than he ever did in Cleveland. The pattern is undeniable. In the video, Chad asks a genuine question. Are we even sure Deshaun Watson is bad? Every quarterback Stefanski has coached looks broken, and then they go somewhere else and find themselves again. It's a fair question that cuts to the heart of what's happening in Cleveland. Is it the quarterbacks or is it the system? Is it the players or is it the coach? Then the bombshell dropped. Deshaun Watson favorited the video. He didn't just watch it and scroll past. He saw a fan explicitly calling out his head coach, saying Stefanski ruins quarterback careers, and Watson hit that favorite button. He digitally co-signed it. He put his stamp of approval on it. He sent a message to everyone paying attention that this fan is speaking the truth. Let's be absolutely clear about what just happened. This isn't some random backup player liking a post. This is the franchise quarterback. the guy they mortgaged their entire future to acquire, publicly signaling that he agrees with fan criticism of his own head coach. That's unprecedented. That's the kind of thing that tears locker rooms apart and gets people fired. Now, some people will try to dismiss this. They'll say Watson was just defending himself, that he liked the video because it suggests he's not the problem. And sure, that's part of it. But here's what makes this explosive. Watson isn't rehabbing in some remote location. He's in that building every day. He's in those meetings. He's on the sideline during games. He sees everything we see, and probably way more that we don't. He sees the most electrifying college quarterback in recent memory, a kid with exceptional arm talent and remarkable poise, being forced to hold a clipboard while watching a quarterback throw for 116 yards in a blowout. He sees a head coach actively designing his offense to avoid playing his most talented player. Watson sees Stefanski running the same career-killing system that made Baker look ordinary, that made Flacco look washed, that made Watson himself look like a shadow of his Pro Bowl form. And now he's watching it happen to another victim. He's watching Shedeur Sanders get buried on the depth chart, not because of talent, but because of coaching ego. Watson couldn't stay silent anymore, but he also couldn't say it directly. He couldn't hold a press conference or tweet it himself. That would be too confrontational. So he did the next best thing. He found a fan brave enough to say what everyone was thinking, and he gave that fan the ultimate cosign. He sent up the signal flare. He let the world know this is real, and someone on the inside agrees with what you're seeing. The implications are massive. This confirms everything Browns fans and observers have been saying for months. Kevin Stefanski is sabotaging Shedeur Sanders, and he's doing it deliberately and systematically. The question is why? What motivation could a head coach have for intentionally keeping his most talented quarterback on the bench while running an offense that barely utilizes passing? There are a few theories. First, maybe he knows he's getting fired at the end of the season regardless, so he's going down with his guys rather than giving in to the player that management forced on him. It's ego-driven self-destruction, burning the house down on his way out. Second, maybe Stefanski just doesn't like Shedeur. Doesn't like the hype, doesn't like the attention, doesn't like having Deion Sanders' son on his roster with all the media circus that brings. His ego is so fragile he'd rather lose his way than win with a player who represents everything he's not comfortable with.